there's a whole set of ideas that are kind of interconnected and nest under this notion of deepening community. And I just want to capture some of these for you. So one is we believe that community and neighbors are the building blocks for creating belonging and inclusion. I know recently, in part because of the work of Susan Pinker and her Canadian bestseller, The Village Effect, as well as some work being championed by the community foundations, part of what we're starting to see is that people's sense of belonging and inclusion has a very tangible and powerful link in terms of their overall health and well-being. We also know that people's sense of belonging and inclusion is a key factor in the resiliency of communities. So we want to know and understand much more about what that link is. Another idea that we're playing with is this sense that if we deepen our experience of community, it offers individuals an opportunity to enhance their physical, mental, and economic health, and also their sense of happiness and fulfillment. One of, I think, the key ideas as well that we're recognizing is that organizations and citizens each have a role to contribute to building the kinds of communities that we want, and that citizens work in very different ways, much more organic ways than organizations, and that the strength of our communities is calling us to get much wiser about how the informal citizen networks collaborate effectively with local organizational players. We believe that if we can understand much more about what it takes to build community and what those strengths and assets are, that it can become a guiding force around shaping the work of organizations, governments, and institutions, and that our effectiveness in deepening community can be accelerated if what we do is build the network, the learning network that shares resources, programs, and policies across peers. So what we want to do is we want to form a national network of folks, both citizens and organizational leaders, who are experimenting with new ways of working together, share those insights, demonstrate the capacity and the possibility of what happens when citizens and organizations work effectively together, and really profile that unique and distinct role that citizens need to play in creating positive change. So one of the ways in which we're sort of building some examples of effective practice is we are partnering with local communities, and we like to call these local deepening community initiatives action learning projects that are both highly aspirational but at the same time profoundly practical. So they're really tapping into people's hopes and aspirations, but at the same time we recognize the importance of making them really concrete and real. So I've talked about this a little bit. We do want to partner with up to 5 local communities each year to host these local projects with us. And we believe that the goals of these projects, the results of these projects, are that you will start seeing increased community engagement within those communities. You'll have a much better sense of the social capital that exists within the community, and also some concrete opportunities to strengthen and reweave that social fabric. Really, we see these local projects as also offering an opportunity to build consensus across a diversity of your citizens in terms of opportunities for the kind of vision you want to create for the future, but also what specific projects might people want to work on together as a way to realize that vision. And then ultimately, we see that this is how we will begin to cultivate a broader, richer sense of the community's natural leadership between organizations and citizens. So at the very core, what's driving our curiosity about this idea of deepening community is a recognition that the majority of challenges that are being faced by different sectors and by our communities as a whole are complex, and therefore no one sector working alone can have the kind of impact on them that is needed. So the assumption that we bring as well then is that the community needs to find new opportunities to practice working together, and that through that work and how that work is done, there's a real opportunity to create new relationships of trust across unusual partners in the community. And typically what we find when this happens is that you actually end up identifying and sort of tapping into previously underutilized resources in your community. And ultimately, this comes in part from encouraging citizens to contribute the gifts, talents, and skills that they have as an active force in creating the kind of future that they themselves say that they want.